One area of the marketplace pretty hotly contested is the economy or B car. Here's Tony with a Ford Festiva.
The under $1,000 market slot is getting smaller all the time. While you can still buy a car at that price, there's some pretty hot competition. Now Ford has a car to compete in this low-cost bracket, the $7,940 Festiva. Like others in this class, the Festiva is a compact two-door hatchback with penny-pinching fuel economy. Like GM, Ford went east to find a car to round out its line of economy models, this time to Korea. Festivas are built by Kia Motors and are based on a Mazda design, the 121. In Korea, this car sells the Kia Pride, and it's been around for quite a while. As a result, buyers here can rest assured that this is a fairly tried and true model and shouldn't experience any teething problems. A conventional hatchback design, the Festiva is a short, stubby little car, and no attempt has been made to lower its lines for the sake of looks. As a result, passengers get more headroom than in many large sedans. In addition, there is more shoulder room than many competitors, since this car is wider than all its rival hatchbacks. It's good to see so much room in such a small car. I was glad to see a hatch that swings up well clear of taller people, and also one that can be left unlocked and opened without a key. But if outward appearances are important, this car has something special going for it. Ford of Canada is offering 5 unique striping patterns as free-of-charge options. Ford organized a survey to find out which patterns from 11 originals buyers would prefer. The top 5 are available at the asking, though to be frank, I prefer a plain Festiva myself. 2 models are offered, L and LX, with various differences in trim and equipment. LX Festivas have a rear window wiper, essential for hatchbacks, and a split-fold rear seat, together with other upgrades. While both models have a decent level of equipment, neither is exactly loaded. Ford having decided to maintain low prices by keeping Festiva's option list short. The engine is a 1.3-litre 58-horsepower 4-cylinder, driving the front wheels. Standard transmission is a 4-speed manual overdrive transaxle, but LX models come with a 5-speed. We tested an automatic, and I was surprised how nippy it was for a small-engined car. I don't usually recommend automatic transmissions for engines of less than 1600 cc, but this one seemed okay, possibly because the car is so light at 777 kilograms. If you specify the automatic, the engine is fuel injected, a feature that probably takes care of power losses normally expected with this option. Ford says that all Festivas will be fuel injected for the 1990 model year. On the road, this car shapes up very well, though lack of power steering makes parking something of a chore. It keeps up with fast traffic on freeways and climbs long, steep hills without losing too much pace. The car will accelerate to 100 kilometers per hour in about 11 seconds, and it's very cheap to run with a highway fuel economy figure of 5 litres per 100 kilometers. Around town, the figure is closer to 6. You can buy a Festiva at both Ford and Mercury dealers, and it costs about $1,000 less than an entry-level Escort, so Ford has just about every market slot covered now. Now, if you want to check out the Festiva's competition, you might want to look at the Nissan Micra, though it's getting a bit old now, Subaru's Justy that we tested last week, Suzuki's 4-cylinder Swift and its look-alike 3-cylinder cousins, the Chevy Sprint and Pontiac Firefly, and for something from a little further afield, you can try the inexpensive Skoda 135i or the Lada Samara from Russia. By the way, they're not supposed to run the tape over the badges at the back.
Oh, let me count the ways on this car. Well, first of all, the good points. Yes, good fuel consumption. Yes, lots of interior space. But here they make such a big deal about these body graphics, and they cover their own name, as you mentioned, but you can't get a passenger side outside rearview mirror. I mean, what kind of engineering is that? It's so typical of Ford to take a car like this and try to bamboozle the buyers with fancy, glitzy side graphics, and they don't put a mirror on it. I mean, what are they thinking about, those people?
Well, that's a good point, and that is an important thing. And I actually asked Ford about this, and they say that to keep the price down to that magic under $8,000 slot,
yeah,
all kinds of things disappear. I mean, at least it's got 4 wheels wheels and tires, but...
Well, I have a hard time believing that it would cost more to put a mirror on this car than it would to hire some guy to put on some striping. I mean, it's...
Well, I agree, and my view is that I don't like the stripes anyway. I don't know who they did the survey with, but I don't like the stripes on there at all.
Probably Ford salesman, I would think. The other thing about the car that I want to mention is that it has very tiny wheels and tires, and I think that's a drawback. Unless I'm mistaken, these are probably the smallest in the B car category, and it really affects the handling. I'm not comfortable with those tires at all.
Well, that's true, and in fact, I did some track testing with one of these cars in a very small track that Ford have, and they squeal. It's very easy to lose traction with them because they're so tiny. It reminded me of driving a Mini.
Yeah, if I had the money, if I wanted to buy one of these cars, and I don't, but if I did, I'm afraid I would have to put it way behind the likes of the Swift or even the Micra, because it just doesn't have the right kind of feel to me. And I hate that body style, this sort of chopped off.
Well, it's practical, Ted. It is practical. Look at the headroom in there, as the film showed. It's very, very good. Even if you're tall, it's very good. It's a lot of room in there, and they are selling well. They seem to be all over the place. Ford is doing very well with the car.
Yeah, but still, the back part, I mean, I know it's people may not know this, but it is extremely difficult to design aerodynamics into an economy car. It's very hard because they're cheap, but they have to have that thing on the back, but it's not worth the money they spend on it. I know that. But nonetheless, this thing looks like somebody's taken a huge axe and just gone thud. I mean, because
I'm afraid that the next generation of these kind of cars are going to be like little bubbles. Of course, they'll be very aerodynamic and so forth. But right now, we're stuck with this kind of design. It does go back to and this is a Japanese design, basically, of course, not a Korean design or a Ford design for that matter. And it is very much like the Micra and other competitors.
Yeah, I could see the market for this thing. I mean, if you want a B car, and I maybe should explain that a B car is as opposed to an A car being the principal car in the family, B car for running around and whatnot.
Okay, yeah, well, they're still selling pretty well. Okay, let's look at a few things we didn't like about this car. The lack of power steering. The steering was very heavy. Styling was quite boring, and the body graphics neither of us really liked. On the plus side, lots of headroom and generally room inside. Drivetrain was pretty good, and lots of interior space.